The wedding invitation arrived on Tuesday, cream-colored paper with gold embossing that made Maya's stomach turn. Not because her younger sister was getting married before her, but because the venue alone probably cost more than she made in 3 years as a veterinary nurse. Maya Rodriguez had never been the type to measure her worth in dollar signs, but standing in her small apartment with water stains on the ceiling and a radiator that clanged like a broken drum, she felt the weight of inadequacy settle on her shoulders. Her mother had already called twice that week to remind her about the dress code, which apparently required something more elegant than the simple sundresses Maya preferred. The wedding was in 2 months, and somehow that timeline felt both too soon and not soon enough. She tucked the invitation into her mirror frame and headed out for her evening shift at the clinic. The February air bit at her cheeks as she walked the 4 blocks to work, passing the construction site where they were building yet another luxury high-rise. The city was changing, pricing out people like her block by block, but she refused to leave. This neighborhood, with its corner bodegas and family-owned restaurants, was home. The veterinary clinic was quiet when she arrived, just Dr. Patterson finishing up some paperwork, and their receptionist heading out. Maya settled into the familiar rhythm of checking on the overnight patients, a beagle recovering from surgery and a cat with a respiratory infection. She was changing the beagle's bandages when the front door chimed. "We're technically closed," she called out, not looking up from her work. "I know. The sign said emergency cases only." The voice was deep, edged with something that sounded like genuine worry. Maya washed her hands and walked to the front, where a man stood holding a cardboard box. He was tall, broad-shouldered, wearing jeans and a simple black sweater that somehow looked expensive despite their simplicity. Dark hair fell across his forehead, and his eyes were a striking shade of green that caught her off guard. "What happened?" she asked, all business now. He set the box on the counter carefully. Inside was a small dog, some kind of terrier mix, shivering and whimpering. "I found her by the construction site on 5th. She was limping, and I think her leg might be broken." Maya lifted the dog gently, feeling along her body for injuries. The dog yelped when she touched the back left leg. "Yeah, definitely injured. Could be a break or a bad sprain. Let me get Dr. Patterson." "Is she going to be okay?" The concern in his voice seemed genuine, which surprised her. Most people who brought in strays were either annoyed by the inconvenience or trying to pass the problem off as quickly as possible. "We'll take care of her," Maya assured him. "Can you fill out some paperwork? Just basic contact information in case we need to reach you about her care." He nodded, taking the clipboard she offered. Maya carried the dog to the back where Dr. Patterson was just putting on his coat. "Emergency?" he asked, already removing the coat. "Possible fracture. Stray someone brought in." They worked together to sedate the dog and get x-rays. It was a clean break, thankfully, nothing that required surgery. Dr. Patterson set the leg while Maya assisted, their movements practiced and efficient. By the time they finished, it was nearly 8 o'clock. The man was still in the waiting room, scrolling through his phone. He looked up immediately when Maya emerged. "She's going to be fine," Maya said. "Clean break, we set it and casted it. She'll need to stay here for a few days for observation, and then she'll need a home or we'll have to transfer her to the shelter." "How much do I owe you?" Maya glanced at the paperwork. "For tonight, about 600. If you're not keeping her, the shelter can take over the costs after we transfer her." He pulled out a wallet and handed her a credit card without hesitation. She processed the payment, then handed him the receipt. "Thank you for bringing her in," Maya said. "A lot of people wouldn't have bothered. I couldn't just leave her there." He paused, looking at the card in his hand with her name on it. "Maya, that's a beautiful name." She felt heat creep up her neck. "Thanks." "And you're Ethan," she said, glancing at the form. "Ethan Clark. Just Ethan is fine." He smiled, and it transformed his face from handsome to something that made her heart skip. "Can I come back tomorrow to check on her? Visiting hours are noon to 6. I'll be here at noon." He was true to his word. Maya was restocking supplies when the receptionist, Katie, practically skipped to the back room. "That gorgeous guy from last night is here asking for you," Katie whispered with barely contained excitement. Maya found Ethan in the waiting room holding a coffee cup in each hand. "I didn't know how you took it, so I got one black and one with cream and sugar." "You didn't have to do that," she said, though she accepted the one with cream gratefully. It was from the expensive coffee shop 3 blocks over, the one she only went to on special occasions. "I wanted to." He followed her to the back, where the terrier was resting in a kennel. Her tail wagged weakly when she saw them. "She's doing well," Maya said, opening the kennel to pet her gently. "Eating, drinking, responding well to pain medication." Ethan crouched down to the dog's level, speaking softly to her. "You're a tough one, aren't you? Have you thought about what you want to do?" Maya asked. "About keeping her." He was quiet for a moment. "I travel a lot for work. I don't think I could give her the attention she needs." "That's responsible of you to recognize that." Maya closed the kennel. "The shelter will find her a good home. She's sweet-tempered." "What about you?" he asked suddenly. "Could you take her?" Maya laughed. "I already have 2 cats and a rabbit in a 1-bedroom apartment. I'm at capacity." They walked back to the waiting room together. Ethan hesitated at the door. "Would you want to get dinner sometime? I mean, if that's not too forward." "I just thought we could talk more, maybe about the dog or not about the dog, just whatever." He was nervous, Maya realized with surprise. This confident, put-together man was actually nervous asking her out. "I don't usually date people I meet through work," she said carefully. "I'm not really a client, I'm just a guy who found a dog." She smiled despite herself. "That's a technicality. It's also true." His green eyes were hopeful. "One dinner. If it's terrible, you never have to see me again except for dog updates." "Okay," she heard herself say. "One dinner." They exchanged numbers, and he left with a smile that stayed with her the rest of her shift. Katie spent the next hour interrogating her about every detail, much to Maya's embarrassment. Ethan texted that evening, "Tomorrow night, I know a place." She agreed, then spent 20 minutes staring at her closet trying to figure out what to wear. Finally, she called her best friend Rachel for an emergency consultation. "What kind of restaurant?" Rachel asked practically. "He just said he knows a place." "That's not helpful, right?" "Okay, go with the blue dress. The one with the sleeves. It's nice enough for fancy, casual enough if it's not." The blue dress it was. Ethan picked her up the next evening in a car that made her do a double take, a sleek black sedan that probably cost more than her annual salary. But he opened the door for her like it was the most natural thing in the world, and his smile when he saw her made her forget about the car. "You look beautiful," he said simply. The restaurant was indeed fancy, the kind with cloth napkins and a wine list that resembled a novel. Maya felt slightly out of place until Ethan started talking, asking her questions about her work, her life, actually listening to her answers. He was easy to talk to, funny without trying too hard, and genuinely interested in her stories about the animals she cared for. "So why veterinary nursing?" he asked over appetizers that were too pretty to eat. "I've always loved animals. I wanted to be a vet originally, but the student loans would have buried me. This way I still get to help without the debt." She took a sip of wine. "What about you? What do you do that requires all the travel?" "I work in real estate development," he said, which was technically true but left out several important details, like flipping houses. Something like that. Bigger projects usually. They talked through dinner, the conversation flowing naturally from topic to topic. He told her about growing up in Boston, moving to New York for college and never leaving. She told him about her family, her sister's upcoming wedding, the pressure she felt to have her life together when she felt like she was barely treading water. "Your sister's lucky to have you," Ethan said. "Not everyone would be so supportive when they're feeling compared." "How did you know I felt compared?" Maya asked. "The way you talked about it. My older brother got married last year. I know that feeling of being the one who hasn't hit the traditional milestones." When he dropped her off at her apartment building, he walked her to the door but didn't invite himself up or try to kiss her. Just squeezed her hand and asked if he could see her again. "I'd like that," she said, meaning it completely. They fell into a pattern over the next few weeks. Ethan would stop by the clinic during his lunch breaks, always with coffee or pastries from the good bakery. They had dinner twice more, once at a small Italian place she recommended, once at a food truck rally where they ate tacos and walked by the river. He was different from anyone she'd dated before, attentive without being overbearing, generous but not flashy about it. The terrier, who Maya had started calling Lucky, was healing well. The shelter had agreed to take her, but Ethan kept postponing the transfer, coming to visit her every few days. "You're getting attached," Maya teased him one afternoon. "Maybe," he admitted. "Or maybe I just like having an excuse to come here." "You don't need an excuse." He smiled at that, and this time when he left, he kissed her cheek, a gentle gesture that left her wanting more. That evening, Maya was closing up the clinic when a woman in a designer suit walked in, looking around with an expression of barely concealed distaste. "Can I help you?" Maya asked. "I'm looking for Ethan Clark. I was told he's been coming here." "He's not here right now. Can I take a message?" The woman's eyes swept over Maya, assessing and dismissing. "You must be the veterinary nurse. I'm Victoria Ashworth, Ethan's business partner. I wanted to introduce myself since you two have been seeing each other." There was something in her tone that Maya didn't like, something possessive and warning. "It's nice to meet you," Maya said carefully. "Ethan's mentioned you. It's sweet, really, this little thing you have." Victoria pulled out a business card. "When you're ready for something more serious, you should know what you're getting into. Ethan Clark isn't just some guy who works in real estate. He's the CEO of Clark Development Group, worth about $200 million, give or take." Maya felt the floor tilt slightly. "I don't understand why you're telling me this." "Because women like you usually have an agenda when they date men like Ethan. I'm just making sure we're all clear on the situation." Victoria's smile was sharp. "He's generous to a fault, especially with girlfriends. I'm sure you'll do very well out of this relationship, however long it lasts." "I think you should leave," Maya said, her voice steady despite the anger building in her chest. Victoria shrugged and headed for the door. "Just friendly advice. Enjoy the ride while it lasts." Maya stood alone in the clinic for several minutes after Victoria left, her mind racing. Ethan was a millionaire, a CEO, and he'd never told her, had actively downplayed what he did for a living. She thought about the expensive restaurants, the car, the way he'd paid the vet bill without blinking. It all made sense now, and she felt foolish for not seeing it. Her phone buzzed with a text from Ethan. "Dinner tomorrow. I want to take you somewhere special." She stared at the message, her thumb hovering over the keyboard. Finally, she typed back, "We need to talk." They met at a coffee shop the next morning, neutral territory. Ethan arrived looking worried, and Maya got straight to the point. "Why didn't you tell me you're a CEO, that you're worth hundreds of millions of dollars?" His face fell. "Victoria came to see you. That's your response." "Yes, she did, and she made it very clear that she thinks I'm dating you for your money." "I don't think that," Ethan said quickly. "Maya, I didn't tell you because I liked that you didn't know. Do you have any idea how rare that is? To meet someone who likes me for me, not for what I can give them." So you lied. I didn't lie, I just didn't correct your assumptions. He reached for her hand, but she pulled back. Please, let me explain. I've dated women who wanted the lifestyle, the status, the access. They didn't care about me as a person. You asked me about my day, my thoughts, my life. You split the check at that Italian restaurant even though I tried to pay. You're real, Maya, that's all I wanted. You should have told me, she said, her voice softer now but still hurt. You should have trusted me. You're right, I'm sorry. He looked genuinely remorseful. Can we start over? Hi, I'm Ethan Clark. I run a real estate development company. I'm probably too rich for my own good, and I'm completely falling for a veterinary nurse who cares more about a stray dog than she does about money. Despite everything, Maya felt herself smile. That was a terrible introduction. I'm out of practice. He waited. Please give me another chance. Let me do this right. She wanted to stay angry, wanted to protect herself from whatever this was becoming. But when she looked at him, she saw the same man who had rushed a hurt dog to the clinic, who brought her coffee just the way she liked it, who listened when she talked about her day. One more chance, she said, but no more surprises. And I'm not interested in your money, Ethan. I need you to understand that. I do. I promise I do. They left the coffee shop together and he took her hand and it felt like a new beginning. The next few weeks were different. Ethan was more open about his work, the pressures of running a company, the constant demands on his time. Maya learned about the high-rise projects, the affordable housing initiatives he was passionate about, the complexities of city politics and development. She met some of his friends, other business owners and entrepreneurs who were surprisingly down-to-earth, despite their wealth. But with the openness came complications. Ethan's world was demanding, full of last-minute business dinners and weekend conference calls. Maya was invited to a charity gala, and even with a dress Ethan offered to buy for her, which she politely refused, she felt out of place among the designer gowns and casual discussions of vacation homes and yacht clubs. You're quiet, Ethan said during the car ride home from the gala. I'm tired, she said, which was true but not the whole truth. He pulled the car over, turning to face her. Talk to me. What's wrong? I don't fit in your world, Ethan. Those people tonight, they're nice enough, but we have nothing in common. They were talking about renovating their summer homes, and I'm worried about making rent. So let me help with your rent, he said immediately. No, her response was sharp. That's not what I want. Then what do you want? I want us to figure out if this can actually work. If we can build something real when our lives are so different. He was quiet for a long moment. My life is different because of money, but I'm not different. I still laugh at your terrible puns. I still want to spend every free moment with you. I still think about you first thing in the morning and last thing at night. Money doesn't change that. But it changes everything else, Maya said softly. They didn't resolve it that night, but they didn't break up either. Instead, they existed in a strange limbo, both aware of the gap between their worlds but unwilling to walk away from what they'd found in each other. Maya's sister's wedding was approaching, and she'd been dreading it for weeks. Ethan offered to come as her date, but she'd hesitated, unsure about introducing him to her family, about the questions it would raise. Are you ashamed of me? He asked one evening at her apartment where he'd come over with takeout. What? No, of course not. Then why don't you want me to meet your family? Maya set down her chopsticks. Because my mother will see your watch and your car and she'll make assumptions. Because my sister will ask questions I don't know how to answer. Because I'm still figuring out what this is and I don't want the pressure of everyone else's opinions. What is this, Maya? Because from where I'm sitting, I'm in love with you and I want to be part of your life, all of it. Her breath caught. You love me, completely. He moved closer, taking her hands. I know we're from different worlds. I know this isn't easy, but I've never felt this way about anyone, and I don't want to lose it because we're too afraid to try. I love you too, she whispered, and saying it felt like jumping off a cliff. I'm scared, but I love you. He kissed her then, soft and deep and full of promise. When they finally pulled apart, they were both smiling. Come to the wedding with me, she said. Meet my crazy family, let's do this. The wedding was in upstate New York at a venue that looked like something from a fairy tale, all stone walls and manicured gardens. Maya's mother descended on them the moment they arrived, her eyes widening when she saw Ethan. You must be the boyfriend, she said, looking him up and down. Maya didn't mention you were so handsome. Mom, Maya groaned, it's true. Come, let me introduce you to everyone. The weekend was a whirlwind of family and festivities. Ethan charmed Maya's relatives with ease, helping her grandmother with her walker, entertaining her young cousins with magic tricks, asking her father about his work as an accountant. He fit in seamlessly, and Maya found herself relaxing, letting herself imagine this could actually work. At the reception, they danced to slow songs and Ethan held her close. Your family is wonderful, he said. They like you. My mother is already planning our wedding in her head. Is that so terrible? He asked, his lips close to her ear. Ethan Clark, are you proposing to me at my sister's wedding? He laughed. Not yet, but someday if you'll have me. Someday sounds good, she said and meant it. Things were perfect for exactly 2 weeks after the wedding. Then Ethan showed up at her apartment with a small box wrapped in expensive paper. What's this? Maya asked. Open it. Inside was a set of keys. Ethan, what? There's an apartment available in a building I own. 3 bedrooms, great natural light, perfect for you and your pets. The rent is 1/3 of what you're paying here, and the building has security and a doorman and a gym. Maya closed the box. I can't accept this. Why not? It's just an apartment. It's not just an apartment. It's you trying to solve my problems with money. I'm trying to help someone I love, he said, frustration creeping into his voice. I don't need your help. I'm doing fine on my own. You told me yourself you're worried about making rent. Let me do this for you. No. She handed the box back. I appreciate the thought, but I won't be your charity case. That's not what this is. Then what is it? Because from where I'm standing, you're trying to fix my life like I'm broken. They argued, voices rising, until Maya asked him to leave. He went, looking hurt and confused, and Maya spent the night on her couch with her cat curled in her lap, wondering if she'd just ruined everything. They didn't talk for 3 days. Maya threw herself into work, staying late at the clinic, volunteering for extra shifts. Dr. Patterson noticed but said nothing, just offered her reassuring smiles and fresh coffee. On the 4th day, Ethan walked into the clinic at closing time. He looked exhausted, his hair disheveled like he'd been running his hands through it. I've been doing a lot of thinking, he said without preamble, and I realized something. I've been so focused on what I can give you that I haven't listened to what you actually want. Maya set down the chart she'd been updating. Keep going. You're independent. You've built your life on your own terms and you're proud of that. You should be. And I came in trying to change all of it, thinking I was helping when really I was disrespecting everything you've accomplished. He stepped closer. I don't think you're broken, Maya. I think you're the strongest person I know. I just want to be part of your life, not run it. I don't want your money, she said quietly. I want you, just you. I need to know that we can work without you trying to buy solutions to every problem. I know, and I'll do better. I promise. He reached for her hand. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for making you feel like you weren't enough exactly as you are. She let him take her hand. I'm sorry, too. I could have explained better instead of just getting angry. So where do we go from here? He asked. We figure it out together. No grand gestures, no expensive gifts, just us. He smiled, relieved. Just us. I can do that. They kissed, and it felt like coming home. True to his word, Ethan scaled back. He still took her to nice restaurants occasionally, but they also cooked dinner at her apartment, played board games, watched movies on her worn couch. He taught her about architecture and design, pointing out details in buildings they passed. She taught him about animal behavior, explaining why her rabbit did certain things, how to read a cat's body language. Lucky the terrier was finally ready to go to the shelter, but on the day of the transfer, Ethan showed up with a decision. "I want to keep her," he said. "I've been thinking about it, and I can make it work. I'll hire a dog walker for when I travel, and she can stay with you sometimes if that's okay. I want to give her a home." Maya felt tears prick her eyes. "You're sure?" "I'm sure. She brought me to you. It feels right." They brought Lucky to Ethan's penthouse apartment, which Maya was seeing for the first time. It was stunning, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, but also surprisingly comfortable, lived in. "This is your home," Maya said, looking around. "You like it? It's beautiful. Very you." Lucky seemed to like it too, exploring cautiously at first, then with more confidence. Ethan had already purchased supplies, a bed and toys and bowls. He was serious about this. Over the following months, Maya spent more time at Ethan's place, bringing her pets over for visits, staying on weekends. Her apartment lease was coming up for renewal, and she was faced with a decision about whether to sign again or look for something else. "Move in with me," Ethan said one Sunday morning over breakfast. "Before you say no, hear me out. This place is huge, way too big for one person and a small dog. You could have your own space, a room for your work stuff, whatever you need. Split the utilities with me if you want to contribute. Just be here." Maya looked at him across the table, this man who had learned to listen, who was trying so hard to meet her halfway. "What about the rent?" she asked. "There isn't any. I own it." "Ethan." Okay, you can pay me something if it makes you feel better. Whatever you think is fair." She thought about it seriously. Her apartment was falling apart, the landlord refused to fix anything, and she was tired of fighting that battle. Ethan's place was beautiful and spacious, and she wanted to wake up next to him every morning. "I'll pay you $1,000 a month," she said. "That's what I can afford, and it's fair for a roommate situation." $1,000 a month for a 3,000-square-foot penthouse is not fair by any stretch, Ethan said. "Take it or leave it," he grinned. "You drive a hard bargain. Deal." Moving in together was an adjustment. Maya had to get used to the building staff, the doorman who greeted her by name, the cleaning service that came twice a week. Ethan had to get used to sharing his space, to her plants taking over the windowsills, to her rabbits getting everywhere despite her best efforts. But they made it work. They established routines, Sunday morning breakfast together, Thursday night cooking experiments, daily walks with Lucky. Maya's cats adjusted surprisingly well, and soon the penthouse felt like a real home, lived in and loved. Work got busier for both of them. The clinic was going through renovations, updating equipment and expanding services. Ethan was in the middle of a major development project, a mixed-use building that was causing political headaches. One evening, Maya came home to find Ethan on his laptop, looking stressed. "What's wrong?" she asked. "The city council is pushing back on the affordable housing component of the new building. They want me to reduce the number of units, make more luxury apartments." He ran a hand through his hair. "But the whole point of this project was to create housing people can actually afford." "I'm not backing down." "Then don't," Maya said, sitting beside him. "Fight for it. It could cost me millions. The luxury units are where the profit is." "But it's not about the profit for you, is it?" He looked at her, and she saw the man she'd fallen in love with, the one who brought hurt dogs to the vet, who cared about doing the right thing. "No," he said. It's not about the profit. Then you already know what to do. He closed the laptop and pulled her close. How did I get so lucky to find you? I think we found each other, she said. The city council fight was long and frustrating, but Ethan stood his ground. Meyer attended some of the meetings, watching him present his case with passion and data, refusing to compromise on the affordable housing units. In the end, he won, though with some concessions that kept the project financially viable. The night the vote passed, they celebrated with takeout on the couch, Lucky curled between them. You did good, Maya said. We did good. I couldn't have gotten through it without you. You absolutely could have. I could have, but I wouldn't have wanted to. He kissed her forehead. You're my partner, Maya. In everything. 6 months after Maya moved in, Ethan's brother came to visit with his wife and new baby. Maya was nervous about meeting them, but they were warm and welcoming, clearly delighted that Ethan was happy. He's different with you, his brother Matt said while they were preparing dinner. Lighter, more himself. He makes me feel the same way, Meyer admitted. Good, that's how it should be. The visit went well, full of laughter and storytelling and baby cuddles. After they left, Ethan was quiet, thoughtful. What are you thinking about? Meyer asked. Family, future, the usual existential stuff, he smiled. Do you want kids someday? I do, she said carefully. Do you? Yeah, not right now, but someday, with you. They talked late into the night about what they wanted, the kind of life they hoped to build. It was one of many conversations they had, learning each other's dreams, figuring out how to weave them together. Maya's parents came to visit a few months later, and she gave them the full tour of the penthouse. Her mother kept making significant looks, clearly hoping for an engagement announcement. Don't, Maya warned her when they had a moment alone. I didn't say anything, her mother protested. You're thinking it very loudly. But that night at dinner, Ethan fit seamlessly with her parents, discussing sports with her father, complimenting her mother's recipe suggestions. He was good at this, Maya realized, making people feel comfortable, being genuinely interested in their lives. After her parents left, Maya found herself thinking about the future more seriously. She and Ethan had been together for over a year now, and it felt solid, real, permanent. The proposal came on an ordinary Tuesday evening. They'd gone for a walk with Lucky, stopping at their favorite coffee cart, then heading to a small park by the river. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. I've been thinking, Ethan said, stopping on a bridge that overlooked the water. That's dangerous, Maya teased. Remember when we first met? You were changing that beagle's bandages and you didn't even look up when I came in. You were so focused on helping that dog. I remember. I fell in love with you in that moment. Before I even saw your face, I knew you were someone special. He took her hands. You've challenged me, supported me, called me out when I needed it, believed in me when I doubted myself. You make every single day better just by being in it. Maya's heart was racing. Ethan, he pulled out a small box, opening it to reveal a simple, beautiful ring. I'm not proposing because it's been a certain amount of time or because people expect it. I'm proposing because I can't imagine my life without you in it, and I want to make that official. Maya Rodriguez, will you marry me? She was crying now, happy tears streaming down her face. Yes. Absolutely yes. He slipped the ring on her finger and they kissed while Lucky barked excitedly at their feet, and it was perfect, simple and perfect. Planning a wedding turned out to be more complicated than either of them anticipated. Ethan wanted to give Maya everything, the venue of her dreams, the dress, the honeymoon. Maya wanted something smaller, more intimate. We need to compromise, she said one evening, surrounded by wedding magazines and venue brochures. I'm open to compromise. Tell me what you want. They settled on something in between. A wedding at a beautiful but not ostentatious venue. A guest list that included family and close friends, but didn't balloon into hundreds of people. A honeymoon that was special but not outrageously expensive. They made decisions together, both of them listening, both of them willing to meet halfway. The wedding was in the spring, almost 2 years after they'd first met. Maya walked down the aisle in a simple, elegant dress that made Ethan's eyes water. They wrote their own vows, promising to support each other, challenge each other, love each other through whatever came. "You're not like anyone I've ever met," Ethan said during his vows, his voice thick with emotion. "You've taught me what really matters, what it means to build a life with someone, not for someone. You've made me a better man, and I promise to spend every day trying to deserve you." Maya was crying, but she managed to get through her own vows. "You've shown me that love isn't about grand gestures or expensive gifts. It's about showing up, listening, growing together. You see me for who I really am, and you love me anyway. I can't wait to spend the rest of my life with you." The reception was full of joy, dancing and laughter and toasts that ranged from heartfelt to hilarious. Maya's sister gave a speech about how she'd never seen Maya so happy. Matt talked about how Ethan had finally found someone who could keep up with him. Dr. Patterson embarrassed Maya with stories from the clinic. When they finally escaped to their honeymoon suite that night, exhausted and happy, Ethan pulled Maya close. "Best day of my life," he said. "Mine too." They honeymooned in Italy. 2 weeks of exploring cities and eating incredible food and just being together. Ethan showed Maya the architecture he'd studied in college, pointing out details she would have missed. Maya dragged him to every animal sanctuary and wildlife preserve they could find. Coming home felt right, settling back into their life together. Maya was promoted to head veterinary nurse at the clinic, a position that came with more responsibility and better pay. Ethan's company continued to grow, but he was careful about maintaining balance, making sure work didn't consume all his time. They adopted another dog, an elderly golden retriever that needed a home. Then a cat showed up on their balcony, and somehow that cat never left. Their home was full of life and love and occasional chaos. A year after the wedding, Maya found out she was pregnant. They'd been trying for a few months, so it wasn't a surprise, but the reality of it still felt overwhelming. "We're having a baby," she said, showing Ethan the positive test. He picked her up and spun her around, then immediately set her down carefully. "Sorry, is spinning okay?" "I don't know what's okay," she laughed. "Spinning is fine. We're going to be terrible at this." "The absolute worst," he agreed, grinning. The pregnancy was healthy but not easy. Maya had morning sickness that lasted all day, exhaustion that left her barely able to function. Ethan was attentive to the point of being overbearing, trying to anticipate her every need. "I love you, but you need to relax," she told him one evening when he tried to stop her from lifting a bag of cat food. "I'm just trying to help." "I know, but I'm pregnant, not made of glass." He backed off, though she could tell it took effort. They prepared the nursery together, painting walls and assembling furniture, arguing good-naturedly about decor choices. Their daughter was born on a cold February morning, arriving 3 weeks early and in a hurry. Ethan was beside Maya through all of it, holding her hand, coaching her breathing, crying when they finally placed their daughter in Maya's arms. "She's perfect," Maya whispered, looking down at the tiny face. "She looks like you," Ethan said. "She has your nose." They named her Sophia after Maya's grandmother. She was a good baby mostly, though the sleepless nights were brutal. Ethan took paternity leave, and they navigated those first few months together, learning as they went, supporting each other through the exhaustion and occasional panic. Maya's mother visited often, helping with Sophia and cooking meals they were too tired to make. Ethan's family came too, bearing gifts and advice and an endless supply of baby clothes. Returning to work was hard for Maya. She'd taken 3 months off, and leaving Sophia felt like tearing off a limb. But Dr. Patterson was flexible, letting her start part-time, and Ethan worked from home more to help with childcare. "We're figuring it out," Ethan said one night as they sat together watching Sophia sleep in her crib. "We are," Maya agreed. "It's messy and hard, but we're doing it." Sophia grew, hitting milestones that filled them with pride and terror in equal measure. First smile, first laugh, first time rolling over. Ethan documented everything, taking thousands of photos, sending daily updates to family. When Sophia was 6 months old, they took her to the clinic for the first time. She was fascinated by the animals, her eyes wide as she watched Lucky walk by. "She's going to love animals just like her mom," Dr. Patterson predicted. "I hope so," Maya said. Life settled into a new rhythm, busy but fulfilling. Ethan's company continued to thrive, but he was careful about maintaining boundaries, making sure he was present for dinner, for bedtime, for the small moments that mattered. Maya went back to full-time work, and they hired a nanny. They both loved to help with Sophia during the day. Their second anniversary came, and Ethan surprised Maya with a weekend away while her mother watched Sophia. They went to a cabin upstate, just the two of them and Lucky, no phones or work or responsibilities. "Remember when you rejected the apartment I offered you?" Ethan said one night as they sat by the fire. "I remember you being very confused about why I didn't want it. I was. I didn't understand that you needed to know I loved you for you, not what I could give you." "And now?" Maya asked. "Now I know that the best things can't be bought. This life we've built, our daughter, our home, it's all because we chose each other, not because of money or status or anything else." Maya leaned against him. "You're not like anyone I've ever met either. You learned, you grew, you met me where I was instead of trying to change me." "We met each other," he said. "That's the important part." They stayed up late that night, talking about everything and nothing, reconnecting in a way that was hard to do in the chaos of regular life. It reminded them of those early dates when they were just two people falling in love, figuring out if they could make it work. They could. They were. Back home, Sophia was growing into a toddler, walking and babbling and getting into everything. Their apartment was full of toys and laughter and the occasional tantrum. Maya started volunteering at an animal shelter on weekends, teaching kids about responsible pet ownership. Ethan launched a scholarship program for students interested in architecture and urban planning, particularly those from disadvantaged backgrounds. They were building something together, a life that mattered, that made a difference. Not because of money, though Ethan's resources helped, but because they cared, because they showed up, because they believed in leaving the world better than they found it. On Sophia's second birthday, they threw a party in the park, inviting family and friends and half the neighborhood. Sophia was delighted by the balloons and cake and attention, running around with the other children while the adults chatted and relaxed. "This is good," Maya said, watching their daughter play. "This is perfect," Ethan corrected, his arm around her waist. They talked occasionally about having another baby, but for now they were content with their little family. 3 dogs, 2 cats, a rabbit, and 1 very active toddler were plenty to keep them busy. Years passed, full and rich. Sophia started preschool, showing an early love of animals that made Maya's heart swell. Ethan's company reached new heights, but he never let success change him, never forgot the lessons he'd learned about what really mattered. On their 5th anniversary, they renewed their vows in a small ceremony with just family present. Sophia was their flower girl, taking the job very seriously, throwing petals with intense concentration. "I fell in love with you when you rejected my gifts," Ethan said during the ceremony. "When you showed me that love isn't about what you can buy or give, it's about who you are, how you show up. You've been showing up for me every day for 5 years, and I promise to do the same for the next 50. Maya was crying again, but happy tears. "You taught me that it's okay to accept help, that partnership means supporting each other, not just proving you can do everything alone. You've been my partner in every way that matters, and I can't wait to see what the rest of our lives bring." They kissed, and Sophia clapped loudly and everyone laughed. The celebration after was simple but joyful, full of the people they loved most. Maya's sister was pregnant with her second child. Matt and his wife had 2 kids now, and the cousins played together while the adults caught up. "You two are disgusting," Rachel said fondly, watching Maya and Ethan dancing. "5 years and you still look at each other like that." "Like what?" Maya asked. "Like you've won the lottery." Maya smiled. "I did, just not the kind you're thinking of." Later, after everyone had gone home and Sophia was asleep, Maya and Ethan sat on their balcony looking out at the city lights. "You ever miss it?" Ethan asked. "The simplicity of before, when it was just you in that tiny apartment." Maya thought about it seriously. "Sometimes I miss parts of it. The independence, the sense that I was making it on my own. But I wouldn't trade this for anything. This life we've built, it's better than anything I could have imagined. Even with all the complications, the money stuff, the different worlds. Especially with the complications. They made us work for it, made us really figure out what we wanted." She took his hand. "We earned this, Ethan. Not because of money or luck, but because we chose to fight for it, to meet each other halfway, to build something real." He kissed her soft and lingering. "I love you, Maya Clark. I love you too." They sat together in comfortable silence, watching the city below, Lucky at their feet, Sophia sleeping safely inside. It wasn't perfect, but it was theirs, built on honesty and trust and love that had been tested and proven strong. Years continued to unfold, bringing new challenges and joys. Sophia grew into a bright, compassionate child who, true to prediction, loved animals as much as her mother did. They got involved in their community, supporting local causes, building relationships with their neighbors. Ethan scaled back at work, eventually bringing in a partner to help run the company so he could spend more time with family. Maya became head of operations at the clinic, helping Dr. Patterson expand to a second location. On their 10th anniversary, they took Sophia back to the park where Ethan had proposed. She was 7 now, smart and curious, asking endless questions about everything. "Is this where you got married?" she asked. "No, this is where I asked your mom to marry me," Ethan explained. "Did she say yes right away?" Maya laughed. "I did. It was a pretty easy decision." "Because you love each other," Sophia said matter-of-factly. "Because we love each other," Ethan confirmed. They walked together, a family, Lucky's leash in Sophia's hand, talking about everything and nothing. It was an ordinary day, unremarkable in many ways but also perfect in its ordinariness. That night after Sophia was in bed, Maya found a gift on their bed, a small wrapped box. "Ethan, we said no gifts," she protested. "Open it." Inside was a photo album filled with pictures from their years together. The first one was from the night they met, a selfie Ethan had taken with sleeping Lucky in the background. The last was from earlier that day, the 3 of them in the park. "We've had a good life," Ethan said. "The best life," Maya corrected. She flipped through the album slowly, remembering each moment, each milestone. Their first date, the proposal, the wedding, Sophia's birth, countless ordinary days that had somehow added up to an extraordinary life. "Thank you," she said finally. For what? For being patient when I pushed you away, for learning what I needed, for building this life with me. She set the album aside and pulled him close. For proving that love isn't about grand gestures or expensive gifts. It's about this, right here, every day. He kissed her, and it felt like coming home, like it always did. Years turned into decades. Sophia grew up, went to veterinary school, eventually taking over Dr. Patterson's practice when he retired. She met someone, fell in love, built her own life while staying close to her parents. Maya and Ethan grew older together, their hair graying, their bodies slowing, but their love remaining constant. They traveled when they could, spent time with grandchildren when Sophia had kids of her own, volunteered and worked and lived fully. On their 30th anniversary, they returned once more to the park, now with walkers but still together. 30 years, Maya said. How is that possible? Time flies when you're with the right person, Ethan said, cheesy. But true. They sat on a bench, watching the river, holding hands like they always had. I'd do it all again, Maya said. Every moment, every challenge, every joy, all of it, me too. Though maybe with a little less arguing about apartments, she laughed. We were both stubborn, we still are. That's true. They sat in comfortable silence, two people who had built a life together, who had learned what love really meant. It wasn't about money or status or grand gestures. It was about showing up, day after day, choosing each other, meeting halfway, building something that lasted. You're still not like anyone I've ever met, Ethan said softly. Good, Maya replied. I'd hate to be ordinary. You could never be ordinary. The sun was setting, painting the sky in brilliant colors. They sat together, watching it, grateful for the life they'd built, the love they'd found, the journey they'd shared. It wasn't a fairy tale. It was better than that. It was real, complicated, and messy, and absolutely beautiful. It was a life built on truth and trust and love that grew stronger with each passing year. And as they sat there together, hands clasped, hearts full, they knew they'd found something rare and precious. Not because it was easy, but because they'd worked for it, fought for it, chosen it every single day. That was the real gift. Not lavish presents or expensive homes or any of the things money could buy. The real gift was each other, the life they'd built, the love that had sustained them through everything. And that was worth more than all the money in the world.